340. Get in where you fit in. You want to give us a call? No problem. We want to hear from you. Mr. Brown, what's going on?
Hello, everyone. Caleb Brown here, Millennial. Have a few things on the agenda today, two things in particular. One which can be expanded upon, um, but not for me necessarily, just a general idea. And then it looks like we have in here Miss Humphreys.
Yes, hello.
Hello there. What age group are you with?
I'm a millennial. Sorry, I didn't know if you wanted me to introduce myself now. My name is Tegan Humphreys. I'm a millennial. Um, you want more or are you going around?
We're gonna go around to Miss Allen.
Linda may be otherwise engaged. She may be more listening than communicating. She'll let you know. She'll just interject when she can.
Well, you're on spot now, Miss Sigmon.
Already. So it's me again. Hey y'all, it's Laura. How y'all doing? Now back to you, Caleb.
All right. Well, I had two things. So we talked about economics, black buying power, group economics, population. So I think we should probably boil all those things down into, I don't want to make this necessarily political talk, but more of, um, we spoke on the collective before, so more things that are in that realm, but also probably going to end up being political either way. So I have one thing which I would like to name, which I will call um, the Black Agenda 2030. And then
Oh
another
wow.
thing we will name the Democratic Vision 2030. I think we should have these two things converge at some point, and I think the Democratic Vision 2030 will be something that the Democratic leaders will have to come to a consensus of bringing all of the parties under the Democratic agenda together, from the furthest left to the center. And then I believe for the Black agenda, like Mr. Keith spoke about, doing stuff for the caucus, I think if we gave them an idea of some things we wanted to focus on collectively and or just ideas that they could use to bridge the gaps and or um, give our people some hope for the future, I think we can cover those, some things I have written down.
Man, Caleb, I almost want to blow that up. I want to say, so are you saying the Black Caucus doesn't offer any hope right now? Like, hi.
I did not
Uh-oh.
say that.
Tegan, I couldn't help it. Caleb, I'm not trying to hijack your segment, but I had a chance to sit in with a group of able-bodied, well-elected, long in the tooth um, servants who operate under the auspice of being a politician. And there were no young people, with the exception of Maya, who was there just to observe. And I wonder if and how they engage and support and connect with and to your population. Like, um, they've been doing the same thing for a long time, beating the same agenda. But I think they need to be shook a bit. I think they need some new blood and they need to hear a voice other than their own. But I'll stop there.
Miss Humphreys, did you have something to add?
Yes, and please call me Tegan. Actually, let me clarify. I'm not actually a millennial. I'm a zillennial, which is basically the people that are on the edge of the millennials. But I was born in 98, so I'm not technically a millennial, but I'm not really like a Gen Zer. Either because they're the iPad kids, everybody all the way up until 2012. So that's like too big of a difference in our reality. So let me just put that out there first. But to piggyback off your comment about the Black Caucus, I definitely agree that there needs to be more young, fresh ideas brought to these tables. There are so many people on the ballot that are young, um, millennials, and a couple of Gen Zers, out here pushing the political agenda for what we inspire for our nation to look like. And I think that we're headed towards a progressive direction with people just taking a chance of, if I win this election, I win this election. But if I don't, I didn't just give the seat to the same person again and let them win by a landslide. No one against them, no one opposing them, no one challenging them to, holding their office accountable. So, um, and there are some young black professionals who are walking into politics and demanding those same standards by older black politicians. So I think um, this upcoming election, especially here in Detroit and in Michigan, is going to be one that is going to shift the narrative for the Black Caucus, Michigan Black Caucus in general.
Okay.
Coming
Is there
out the door
anything
swinging. I love it.
is there anything on your mind in particular which you would like them to focus on? Or
Um,
our Democratic leaders or our leaders in Congress in general?
yes, for
Or
me, it's
on all
always
levels?
the first two important things. Uh, well, I mean, everything is just so important these days, right? Like we need help in so many different directions. But I would have to say public education should be a number one priority or number one-ish priority, slash and etc. It should also be a number one priority for housing. Um, the the housing market, the homeless population in Detroit. I mean, the way people are being pushed out of homes, these taxes and the opportunities that come to investors and developers that we don't get as regular people who literally put the city on their backs for so many decades. I think that those are two things that are really important to me. And if someone has um, any any suggestions or they're taking any advice from somebody like me, I would ask them, what are you going to do for our taxpayers? Like, how are you going to show us what our dollar looks like in Lauren, Texas, and all of those things? So I think that those would be my two first questions.
Okay,
Sounds like
well,
she's about to ask for a town hall meeting. Town hall
that,
meeting.
Yes,
that sounds good to
absolutely.
me. Um, we'll see if there's any of those before the actual who's done it comes up. Segueing into education because that was the first thing on my list for the Black Agenda 2030. So I'm just going to run over what I have written down. This is one of those notepad papers that I wrote down because I felt like I don't know, surveillance state, which I was going to cover last week, but we didn't get to it. So I'm just going to run these down for you guys, and then we can run through them together and or nitpick and or expand upon them. So education review, including literacy, which is financial language, and also critical thinking, which I believe we got on our segment last week. Critical thinking, someone mentioned that being very important. And then I also want to add Black history being required, especially in all Black majority schools.
Mm.
And then voting boxes to remain in those schools, the HBCUs, which were being attacked, as we mentioned before. Job training and recertification for AI and robotics, which I believe which we're going towards. So whether AI will be here, people need to be doing coding, or whether they'll need to be fixing those robots as they may break and or need improvements. We should invest in those things as a society to make sure that we can function for the future. And then how about food security, reimagination of the urban gardening? So whether that is actual gardens outside, which I think is great, but going into the winter, I would like to see more hydroponic farms within the city, within each neighborhood, maybe within those metro areas. So Detroit, Atlanta, Chicago, all of these places, which are major Black populations, I believe someone needs to make the investment in some kind of urban farming, which we can do year round, and make sure that those things are being monitored closely. So we're not going through all of the outbreaks, which we are currently going through, from the imported food, which we are gathering from different places. So, anybody want to add on to those or expand on those?
Thinking
Hmm.
you're not shy, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking, and first, I agree with everything on the list. Um, as far as the food safety, I think I would add maybe um some type of nursery segment to that for the mothers
Mm.
I
because
thought she
yes,
was talking about
food,
gardening. She's talking about actual rearing of the babies. I love that.
yeah.
Right.
So like food security is one thing, but like the supplies of the food that, can't be grown and fed to an infant, milk
Mm.
security. I think some I've
So
seen I've seen
more.
a organization who, they only thing they accept is donations of baby formula, baby milks, and because that's a whole, population that could starve if they don't have the milk for
Wow.
whatever reason they can't lactate from their mom. Um, and I didn't know that that was such a big thing, just like sanitary napkins. I didn't know that those things were so big until you see an organization who whole mission is that one thing. And then they come with the
Mhm.
data and they're like, no, this is a big crisis right now. Like babies are not eating enough.
Mm.
So maybe
That's
something,
huge.
yeah, maybe there's something that could be a focus on.
Do you know
If
of
I,
any alternatives to like breast milk that could be like formula? But do you know of any alternatives that are natural?
No, I don't.
that's
I
a good
don't.
question, Caleb.
Yeah,
That's
I've
a
never
really good
even thought
question.
about that.
But
Okay.
as an older person, listening to your laundry list of things that you'd like to see on your 2030 Black agenda, I think on the 2026 right now agenda leading into your 2030
Hmm.
is a elevated voice for things that are outside of our control that have already been negotiated, like data centers are coming, whether we want them or not. And I'd like to see what they call a CBA or community benefits agreement that could maybe be sponsored elements of the things that you've listed already, the food security, the education continuum. Like the data centers are going to be here and they're going to make so much money for all the people who had the dollars to build its infrastructure, who are
Mm-hmm.
going to make all the money in perpetuity, and they're not going to bring jobs. They're not going to bring anything that's going to sustain a local community other than other probably bills and headaches. But at least get something out of it, like a community benefits agreement, where 5%, 8% of its overall profits have to go to doing these local hibernated or hydroponic elements that you were referring to, Brown, or even sort of the lactation support that Tegan was talking about. Is it Tegan or Tegan?
Pagan.
Tegan was talking about. But wouldn't it be nice if we're already fighting City Hall, and I'm using that very liberally, if we're fighting government who has already agreed to allow a data center that we don't want into the community, wouldn't it be just a decent ask that portions of the proceeds fund these initiatives?
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
not asking currently in Michigan, we're not asking for anything anywhere with the centers that are coming. I think that's insane.
Oh
And we can
wow.
learn from other places and spaces who have them, where that windfall of cash after that contractor got a chance to come in and do some pipes, or the contractor came and laid some road, or the contractor came and put some siding up on the building. Those jobs don't sustain. They're not there for a long time. They're one and done. They're infrastructure design. They're not infrastructure support. They're not community designed. They are deficits. They're the opposite of employment opportunities. So at least let's get something out of it. That's where the people, and I don't care if you're black, white, green, orange, purple, it doesn't matter. That's where everybody could benefit from seeing a CBA agreement specialized, customized to where you live and where you reside. That's my comment. That's what I like to see on the agenda. Well before whoever gets into the office. If they know they're coming, you know how to make backdoor deals and everything else. Add that to it.
Yeah, I definitely think the food safety should be the um CBO. That would be, I mean, because you're affecting the environment with the data center, maybe, possibly. So I think that that would be a great um CBI for them to have implemented.
So, going into what you gave us as one thing to focus on, it looks like 1 in 6 households in the U.S. experience food insecurity, directly limiting consistent access to nutrient-dense foods. 60% of commercial baby food sold in the U.S. stores fail to meet basic nutritional composition standards set by the
Wow.
WHO. 70% of products fail to meet recommended protein levels.
Wow.
44% of those exceed recommended sugar limits, with squeeze pouches ranking among the highest in added sugars and lowest in overall nutrient density. 25% fail calorie standards and 20% exceed recommended sodium limits. It
Mm,
looks like 1 in 4 toddlers do not get enough iron, which is critical for brain development and cognitive growth. And it looks like 40% of parents introduce solid food or sugary beverages earlier than recommended, displacing essential nutrients from breast milk or formula.
mm.
So,
All scary. And we have an entire mass food production system duplicating this stuff without even meeting the minimum standard for nutrition value. That's
Mm.
insane.
27% of Black children live in a food insecure household.
And
So,
another
maybe
thing around food security that I would um like to see in this project, there needs to be some type of cap or regulation over the neighborhood grocery stores price.
Mm, mm,
okay,
Living
I hear you.
in Detroit and traveling to visit other majority populated black inner cities, they all have the same problem when it comes to the grocery stores prices being extremely higher than the name brand stores or the other smaller chain stores
mhm,
outside
mhm,
of that inner city. And I think it's strategic, right? Because they, for whatever reason, think that they should up their prices because there's food assistance cars being used in neighborhoods, or hey, you're gonna have to get it because you may not want to drive to the suburbs to go to Kroger, Walmart, or
mhm,
Publix. So it's a scarcity if you can't make it to another store and this is in your neighborhood, but this milk is $7.
mm,
The milk at Aldi's is only 5. So
mm,
I see this all the time and it drives me insane. And I know that that has to contribute to the food um insecurities that we have in the black communities because food is so much more expensive in our neighborhoods. And I know there has to be a study out there already, but if it isn't, I hope that
so it
somebody takes
is.
on this task and really like start to um push for politicians to put some type of regulation cap on the price gouging of food in inner cities. It's ridiculous.
Especially if it's government subsidized, right? Now, it's difficult to regulate free enterprise. That's what America is. We're a capitalist society, but where government is aiding that support, there should be a cap on what they could actually charge specifically for things that go to the underserved or marginalized populations. But I also think, taken to your point, if Audi can do it and other large brands have a greater supply chain solution, maybe we need to figure out what your supply chain looks like because you have no business gouging or taking advantage of what we consider the vulnerable populations.
Hmm.
But it is supply and demand. I recognize that there's a convenience cost. We do see that, but maybe elevating and raising the rhetoric, the conversation around it can drive that. We can see that because they have target pricing, right?
Hmm.
They have every day where they can go in and change pricing for a product based on the population that they actually serve. Here in Michigan, they do it already, right? Certain zip codes pay a certain rate or a certain price. I can't believe we're already 5 minutes before the top of the hour. That's insane. But they have target pricing, right? They'll tell you it's because they have higher facility rental costs because the zip code has greater insurance costs because of theft,
Right.
because of other security measures or things that
Mhm.
need to happen, both externally and internally. Their employees steal from them as well as the consumer market may steal from them. So they have reasons to justify that. Um, I don't know that they're valid, but I mean, I guess in some instances they are. I'm not a retailer. I'm not part of that supply chain, but I guess taking it based on what you're saying, if the government is paying for it and they're using government subsidized taxpayer dollars, then we should cap it. And I agree.
Yes, absolutely.
I had one thing I wanted to add for the hydroponic piece. I wonder if there could be, like we were saying, these places could be more prevalent. But what if you could also get the plant while it was still living? Like if it was growing in the garden and they gave you the plant with the root system still there and you could harvest it 3 to 5 times
Wow.
yourself. Yeah, so one thing of lettuce can be harvested 3 to 5 times. I'm growing like four right now. I haven't harvested them yet, but I'm thinking if we had a place where you could give each family so many bushels of lettuce or things that will continue growing, and we can get them to either growing them within their own homes or, going into a place where they're growing them like in a community setting. But even giving people the education where they can move those things into their own homes and do them throughout the winter could at least give them some alleviation from the pain. So
Mm.
yeah, I'm trying to figure that out. So hopefully I give you guys an update. I don't know, but that's what's on my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be nice, if everyone could just go in their own kitchen and get their own salad. But
So nice, right?
at the
In
at
the
the moment
grocery
we're not
store.
there. But that could be something that could be sponsored, right?
Mm,
By
mm,
one of these larger corporations or by caucus members maybe getting those
mhm.
people like all they need is water, right? And it comes with the grow food and some seeds. And we can definitely give people seeds almost free, right? So
Yep.
Well,
really just need
Michigan
the
State
the
Extension,
system.
The Michigan State Extension, the school extension program did that for a number of years, except people start participating. Maybe it's time for them to resurrect that again. But you also have to teach people the basics of gardening, how to care for it, right?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
to nurture the seeds and all
I'm,
that.
I'm also like, this is like put the sponge in there, put the seed in there, and let the water go on it and keep filling the water, and then cut said plant when it's time to eat. Like it's
You like
not
keep
no
it simple.
colonization. Yep, keep it real simple, and then you can go from there, right? Like let's not give them more than they need to have at the moment.
That's that's awesome. Let's go ahead and do our station ID real quick. That way we can get it out the way.
21st century music and ministry. 24 hours a day. WCHB AM 1340. Royal Oak, Detroit. The voice of the church. Streaming online at WCHB1340.com.
Caleb, I'd love to know more about where Miss Tegan Humphreys is coming from. I think she may have some working knowledge of Detroit, but when I hear Atlanta and I hear her refer to that, I think she may live in the South. Is that true, Miss Tegan?
No, I live in Detroit.
Okay.
I attend Detroit Mercy School of Law. I'm
Oh,
born and raised here, but
okay.
I got my political science degree at Tennessee State University
Ah,
and moved to Atlanta. So I've bounced around a little bit, but I'm Detroit through and through.
all right. 313. What up, though? Good.
Hey.
Yes, yes, yes. Are
That's
you both
awesome.
from Detroit?
Yep.
Yes,
313.
Yes, okay. We
it's
in the house.
home. Detroit is home. Will always be home.
We'll always be home.
We'll
We don't
always
live
be.
in Detroit anymore, but Detroit is home.
Yes,
My
okay.
family lives there, so I have to go there a lot. So might as well.
I love it.
I worship
Well,
there. I participate there. A lot of my business functions are there, so I can still consider myself an active Detroiter regardless. I'm still in my 313 zip code, area code, so I'm good. So as far
Absolutely.
as so guys, what else? Like, so I really like that 2030 Caleb. So you mentioned food insecurity, but housing and education. What's up with housing? Because the housing situation is tricky. Tegan
well,
brought that up.
I had a whole housing crisis section. I thought I mentioned that on our first show.
Maybe you talked about the ownership and the equity, but
I
Tegan,
didn't go into the
what
metrics
say
thing for you.
right? What say you, Tegan? What do you think around this housing thing?
Um, I think that we definitely, need to secure some type of basic understanding of why some people have homes secured and why like some generations won't have it to come in the next 2 or 3 cycles or
Mm-hmm.
haven't had it in multiple cycles.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think a lot of people don't understand that part. So as a society, people just see people who are unhoused and have a negative connotation about that and think that for whatever reason it's just drugs or whatever is the most negative thought they could have about why somebody may not, have a place of their own. I think we need to dismantle that narrative and then
Mm-hmm.
we'll be able to get to the root of employment statuses and opportunities in all communities, especially for those veterans and those with mental capabilities that, hinders them from having certain type of opportunities to work in different ways. So
Mm-hmm.
I think the conversation is more I don't know. It's just like more deeper than just somebody don't want to pay their bills or,
Mm-hmm.
like it's never just that. Now that might be the case. I'm not saying that's off the table, but most of the time we're looking at a systematic um imbalance that so happens to leave somebody feeling the wrath of that wave. And I don't know what 2030 looks like for housing, but I love that, you're coming up with a strategy to start pushing people of our Congress and of our House to represent that demand that we need.
That
Right.
is that's the goal. I don't want to be a spearhead or anything. I just want to go. I don't know, like Miss Allen asked
What did
before.
what did what did what did what did Lewis say? John Lewis said what he said about trouble?
Oh, good trouble. I'm
Good
always good.
trouble.
Good.
Mhm.
I'm always good.
Good
Sydney, what do you
trouble.
think? Oh, we lost Sydney. Maybe she'll be back. Um, but I was gonna have a verse for you guys last week, which I forgot to mention. Proverbs 14:15. The simple believeth every word, but the prudent man looketh well to his going.
Mm.
And I wanted to really say that over the last two sessions that we had, Miss Allen asked if we were looking for the hope in voting or not. And I said, we have to vote. That's the only system we have in this society that we
To
live
make
in to
any
get
change,
anything
right?
done. Yeah, so checking out is not an option. What we need to do is learn all the
Mm.
rules and make sure that we learn all the way the rules can be subverted and make sure that they are not, and make sure that we
Hmm.
put things that we want in place so we can have that power. So
You're right,
that's
Caleb.
why,
Yes.
Voting and ownership are the only two
uh,
ways
and we're
to
currently
maximize change.
we're in the day and age where no one wants to have accountability for their actions.
Mm.
So people do not apologize for the things that they're doing, and they keep doing them, knowing that they're wrong.
Yeah.
And that's been on a larger level that's been trickling down. And I just saw that there's actually a organization that does a rage study, and they've been doing it, I think, since 2000, early 2000s. And they said that basically the public rage is increasing. So if you're going around and you're saying people being a little bit more ragey than usual, it's because it's actually a thing going on in our country. So
Mm.
Mhm.
beware of that. We also need to figure out why people are going through these emotions, and maybe because they don't have what they had before, which Miss Allen had mentioned, hope or something to look forward to that was shiny. When we had Obama, we had hope and change. We got
Mm-hmm.
children to go into their parents' insurance for an extra long time, which gave them time to
Hmm.
save.
Gave
We
them health
got
insurance.
Yeah, we got a few things. Don't forget that ACA, which they love to call Obamacare, was actually a
Hmm.
Republican plan, which Obama kind
Hmm.
of shoehorned in there, but did it for the good of the
Hmm.
people. And
Hmm.
they tried to shut it down with not with the whole subsidy or making people
Hmm.
pay for it, like forcing people to pay for it, which was
Hmm.
basically, I guess, some kind of version of universal healthcare, but not well orchestrated. Correct?
Hmm.
But now we have to figure out what's going to come next, because what were the prices before we had the ACA? Now that we have no ACA, the prices are really high.
Tell me
So
about it.
it's something
Crazy.
we need to yeah, it's something we need to look at. And then, like you said, the housing situation, the housing crisis, houses are very high. I'm not even thinking of the interest rate, which I think is about 6-7%. I'm thinking
Oh, a
about the
whole nother
average house
conversation.
price is over $400,000 in
The
America.
average?
So the average house is over $400,000. So you have to yeah, like so most major areas are having a lot of people who cannot afford houses, people that are in their houses that got them maybe during COVID or before, or people that are older than I am that have their houses, they're paid off, or they're in mortgages that are lower rates than 6%. They're not leaving, they're not moving. So if they're not building any houses any faster, there's less demand. We're having the homeless crisis where people are piling up and getting kicked out, and they're increasing rent. And you guys know that there's a program with all of the rental agencies, which they're in cahoots, which they have it to an algorithm which they don't have to rent out all the units. They have it already worked out on their break even where they can rent out so many units and charge so much to leave the building vacant and still
to,
make a
to, to
lot of
maintain the
profit.
undesirables outside?
And it's not even to maintain the undesirables outside. It's we can rent out these 5 units at this price versus renting out the whole unit at this price and doing this, but we can charge it's like a whole thing. But if everyone's in on it, we only have you only have to rent out five, I only have to rent out five, I only have to rent out five and worry about five in my whole apartment of 20.
Hmm.
And you have to realize there's a lot of places like in LA that have buildings that are high rises that are completely empty. So
Well,
there's empty buildings that are high rises. There's buildings that barely have any people in them because the rent's so high, but also because they're all owned by foreign investors. So it doesn't matter if they sit because they parked their cash there.
hmm. Hmm.
Right there. It's a
Hmm.
cash thing. So they don't have
Hmm.
to rent them out because they're like, well, as long as the values go in there, and then property value keeps going up and keeps going up and keeps going up, and property taxes keep getting reassessed. So that's what people are dealing with. The younger people are looking around like, I can't afford a $600,000 house that's only 500 square feet. You know?
That's crazy.
I
Yeah,
definitely agree.
I've
Definitely
looked at some
agree.
of those things. Go ahead, Zion.
Okay, I wasn't sure if we were able to just hop into the conversation, but
Absolutely.
okay, yeah, I definitely would like to say everything you talked about with housing is 100% true. And that's kind of why when I am kind of talk about my perspective of like what's going on currently, just in like economics,
What's
policy.
your label? What's your label? I'm a Gen Z. Caleb is a millennial, and Tegan
Mhm.
gave me a new label. I'm not even sure what that is.
Yes, it's the mix of millennial and Gen
I'm a
Z.
Zillennial.
See,
Okay.
she knows
I'm a
that's what I
Zillennial,
am.
Two,
yeah.
two millennials in one
Yes.
meeting. This is new
Right.
for me. I feel like a boomer.
Okay,
Yeah, because
boomer.
we don't want to be, you know, labeled as a iPad kids. Like we had bikes, we
Right.
had water fights and all of that. We were
Right. And we
outside.
had it outside. We know, hopscotch on the
Big
pavement.
difference.
Yeah,
Double
it's a
Dutch?
huge difference.
So
What'd
don't
you
group
say?
me in with them.
Double Dutch?
Come on, double dutch, hand games, all of that.
Okay, I love it.
But I feel like the biggest concern that I keep hearing about is kind of like almost like what you said with housing, just the balance sheet of it all. So just looking at income, like I know a lot of our concerns are what are people earning right now?
Mm,
And salaries, like increases in wages. Also, what does the ordinary life really cost? Like, I'm watching everything go up, but when I go back to look at my mom's generation, my grandparents' generation, I mean, I just saw something on TikTok where they said rent was like $700 and it was like what, a three-bedroom something. And I was like, wow, we would never see that again. And then another thing is debt. What does borrowing cost? Because
mm,
they're
mm,
pushing us to go to school, pushing
mm,
us to buy houses.
mm,
They want us to buy
Buy
cars, but
now, pay later.
exactly, and people are in this spin of, getting your check early, having to pay it back, clearing it out, affirmed out. It's so
Clearing
many
that
different
out.
things.
So right,
They,
yes, we kind of covered
yeah,
that last week a little bit. Can you expand on the buy now, pay later traps and the instant gratification that
absolutely.
society's going through?
Yeah, it basically puts you in a cycle of just always having to pay someone back, and that's even more debt. And then, although you get it quicker, it feels quicker, but it's still coming out of your expense. It's still coming out of your income. And it's a challenge to get out of it. I have watched people, family members, literally struggle and complain and moan and groan about, hey, needing to pay back this app company, and they have my check. Like basically I'm depositing my check into it, almost like a bank, and I'm like, you did what? And they're like, yeah, I put my whole check in there and then I borrow against it and then I have to pay it back. And I'm just like, Lord have mercy, like this is a
It's,
lot.
it's a modern payday loan,
Yes, yeah.
Pretty much.
but in a digital app version, correct? So
Yes, yeah.
people are, well, you clearly see the issue. I can admit that I used it. Obviously, I didn't see payments, and I was like, "This is free money," but
Yeah.
nothing's free. There's a catch.
Yeah, it can be
Obviously,
good
they
in
didn't
some
catch
ways.
me, but I'm over here like, "Oh, now I get it." Like they're
Yeah.
just waiting for people to have out multiple payments because you're like, "I want this
Mhm.
from UGG, I want
Right.
this from this, I want this from that," and the next thing you know, you have all these payments coming out at one time, but
Hmm.
because you didn't budget, they're snatching up all your money.
Yes.
You're like, oh man, I need help.
Yeah.
So that's exactly how it's going, and it's been
Hmm.
dialed up in a like pretty fashion and deliver in a blah blah blah. And it started
Right.
with we're not going to report this to them, so you can do whatever you want. And then it
Right.
became, guess what? All that data we have on you,
Hmm.
we're releasing it. So
It's very interesting. I mean, there are pros to it, but there are cons, I mean, it's literally a slippery slope. And that kind of goes into my next thing of like assets. Like, are people actually accumulating wealth? Like, I
mm,
know that's a huge thing. I know a lot of people that I talk to, I mean, luckily my background is in finance and accounting. Um, and I know a lot of people that I talk to, even in my age range. So I'm 29. And I know that when I was about, what, 22, I think I started working at Vanguard, and BNY Mellon. And luckily, I was
mm,
able to learn about, retirement accounts, individual retirement accounts, joint tenants with regard to survivorship accounts, different things like that. Just ways to like invest your money, and to diversify. But I don't think a lot of people know about it, or if they do have access to it, they don't necessarily know how to use it. And with everything being so expensive and with the get paid now and buy later.
this
I don't
this
think
goes
anybody's
to
actually
the
accumulating wealth, and we're paying into some things, like Social Security. We don't actually know if they're going to be here later on. And so, that's kind of like what's left after like the necessities. Like I feel like people fear about their cash flow.
Hmm.
I am definitely hoping that Social Security is going to be here. Otherwise, I'm going to want my check now so I can invest it
Absolutely.
in something else. We do have Ayo that joined us, so I'll let her go. We're actually talking about the housing crisis and people feeling the crunch, and then also just the cost of everything.
Yes. Um, with what I've heard so far and sort of some of my early thoughts on it, I can say that life is expensive. Everything is expensive, and inflation is such an interesting beast. Um, having added that, what I mean by that is that the cost of things that we have grown accustomed to in our lives, regular things, not even luxuries, but groceries and just all of the things that are a basic part of living, even water, right? Like all of those costs have gone up. If you live in a home that does not have central air,
Wow.
the electric bill in the winter is high, is the only way I can say it. Very high. So my point being that I think the normal way of being has gotten really expensive, and so we feel the crunch there. Whereas when you're like, oh, I can do less of the things that I consider to be a luxury, that you don't feel that as much as you do when you realize that the things that support your everyday way of
Essential.
life,
Yeah.
yes, your essentials, right? When
Hmm.
your everyday way of being gets higher and higher and you have fewer and fewer, it feels like you have fewer and fewer dollars. That I think is, um, personal experience as well as where I observe and hear people talking about the crunch. Um, Housing is such an interesting thing because there are so many empty homes and also so many people who are living without homes. Um, and there's no clear path via capitalism to pair the people with the homes. And so we are watching degradation of physical and built environment and also of, social environment and people's just general health and well-being. And we behave as though we can't figure out how to pair the two. Um, Outside of those things, I can say we were sold a dream, or I think, and I'll end with this, that you reach a certain age, you move out, you live on your own, and that we all need our own space. And I think that we are in an environment where that's true for a lot of people, but we should also normalize that perhaps people will live in intergenerational households, and that's
Hmm.
not it's not something to be ashamed of, or it's not
Shouldn't
something
have a
to
stigma. That's
frown
right.
upon, right?
Yeah.
Because for some people it might be about the finances of it. For other people it might be about well-being,
Hmm.
um
Mm.
taking care of your loved ones, whether that's elders or babies or peers, or I just think we need to
Mm.
accept that there are other ways of being and of
Mhm.
living, and that there's no shame in those things, that it's
Mhm.
not weird, or it may be uncomfortable, right? Because there are different boundaries when you live by yourself than when you live with others, but I
Mhm.
don't think that's anything to shy away from. So that's it for me.
Man, I love this discussion. This is hot
That's
stuff,
beautiful.
man.
Yes.
So, can we say that we need, so basically, let's say that Democratic Vision 2030, I don't know if you heard me say that earlier, Democratic Vision 2030, maybe
Mm-hmm.
that is the reimagination of the American dream for the cultures that are here in America now.
It's
So, with our Black Agenda 2030, maybe we can have them reimagine the Democratic Vision 2030 with the Black Agenda 2030 definitely being a part of it.
if
Zion?
I Oh, are you asking Zion or was that for me?
Go ahead. We'll let Zion go next.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'll go really quickly and just say that if we're talking about Black agenda, we know that America is a place where there are all different types of Black people who have come from here as well as all other parts of the world. And so I
Mhm.
think we could take a moment to learn and to maybe look at some of those things and how they're working in other places, and not think about and limit ourselves to versions of American prosperity when there are so many other ways to be wealthy. And that's it for me.
Ooh, I
Let
like that.
let's also give a moment to recognize the people that lost their visas, the
Yes,
Haitians, other people who've been here the whole time who were staying legally and got deported.
100%.
So let's make sure that we don't just see the others that are deported, but the ones that do look like ourselves and do stimulate our economy. Zion?
Thank you for that. I agree with AL, but also I think they need to focus on making like going back to the basics almost. I feel like a lot of people get lost in a lot of rhetoric that's used in politics. And really, I think that well, Zillennials, that's all I can really speak for. They really they really just want to know, at the end of the day, what does the policy actually do? Like,
Mm,
what problem are they trying to solve?
mm,
What exactly will it cost? And who benefits? And
mm,
honestly, I think another thing is what could be some unintended consequences that could occur. Um,
mm,
and so I think we're seeing a lot of this, especially in education right now, with the rise of artificial intelligence, especially in employment. We're watching a
mhm.
significant change in a job market, just
Yes.
due to lack of policy around artificial intelligence. And I
Hmm.
don't think people really understand how it's going to affect the job market if they don't get a handle
Oh yeah.
um, or policy around how to use it or how it can be used, how to sanction people that are, that might be taking it too far, or, pros and cons of it and how everyone will be affected. But I think that's really what they should focus on are the basics. I think that they've kind of lost that in some ways.
All
So
true.
keeping it simple, what would you say?
Yeah, keeping it simple and really making sure that they are targeting the younger folks. I mean, the older people, of course, older generations are gonna go out and vote. But I do think focusing on Zillennials and making it basic, because they
Mm,
do get kind of, and they really don't understand how does this impact me, but it's like it's going to impact you the most. So
hmm.
just having that basic understanding for them.
Can you give us a very simple financial literacy class in 9 minutes?
Can I do that?
Yes, it doesn't have to be all 9 minutes, but if we could get a simple financial literacy, something that people, this is what we need the people to do. We need the people listening to take what she's telling you and tell someone who is
Right.
not in the group that you're in right now, that's not sitting next to you. Go find a young person. If you want to see a future with the young people that look like you and you want to see them do great, listen to the information that is before you.
Maybe 5 things, Zion, that you would say they should consider or think about or plan for 2027 or
It
the
doesn't have
tax
to be.
Absolutely.
season.
Yes.
Absolutely. So I have to state, I am in no way a financial advisor. So I
Hmm.
just wanted to make sure I say that. But I would say simply track your income and expenses. Always make sure the checks outweigh the balances.
Hmm.
Um, that's just something just very basic. Separate your needs from your wants and also pay yourself first. Try to have a savings account, even if it's something small, and try to, and I would say I would highly recommend because it's something that I did at a young age. Just luckily I had an advantage to, having access to all the mutual funds and things like that. But an individual retirement account, specifically a Roth, because it's taxed when you put the money in. So when you take the money out, it won't be taxed later on. So I would
Love.
just recommend, even if it's $20 a month, it makes a difference. And because the mutual fund you're investing, so it will grow as you grow. So
That's
I don't
good.
think
Growth,
I don't think
growth
that
is
was nine
key.
things, but
I mean, that was definitely at least 5 things, I believe. And
That's
I think
good.
you
That's
did it.
good.
Those
You
were
said
all
9 minutes,
good
but I think you did it in two. So that was beautiful.
yeah.
So,
things.
so a Roth IRA, yes, everyone. we're not financial advisors, but if you don't know what a Roth IRA is, please ask your Google machine, ask Siri, ask
Yes.
Bing, ask Copilot, look it up. If you have time to do something like that for someone younger than you and get them set up in the right direction, that's what we're
Yeah.
saying at this moment. We
Oh,
greatly
oh,
appreciate that for the future.
oh, sorry. I forgot just this one important thing. Also, learn about credit. Make sure to teach young people about how to handle credit, but also utilize free resources. Like Intuit has like free education tools that you can use. So utilize those.
So
Utilize
we are
free
going to do a
education.
we're
Okay.
doing a financial literacy class that starts tomorrow night, but it's specifically for Flint people.
Okay.
However, we are going to do the same, and I would love it if you guys could participate as content providers in the audience in
Yeah.
the Western Wayne County in October.
I would
So
love
we
that.
we are going to do that. I will circle back and get your contact information
Okay.
because here's the thing: we are making it household friendly. We're going to start with your household income,
Mm-hmm.
design a budget, reverse engineer it,
Mm-hmm.
build a savings plan for you, and then teach you how to reward yourself based on what you do around household compliance so that you don't have three tires and not the fourth, like the crazy stuff that people talk about, and what the impact is with your credit. This is the first time I've ever done anything on the social side or the personal household side. So I'm really looking forward to subject matter experts. And Zion, I think you're going to be the person we're going to be tapping to help support some of that.
Absolutely. I would love to help.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. You all haven't heard me most of the evening, but I'd like to thank IO Zion and Tegan for taking time out of their busy schedules to do me this favor.
Thank you,
I
Linda.
hope I hope Caleb and Laura that you've enjoyed them. I think
Oh,
we've
yeah.
gotten a lot of information from them, and I guess I owe all of them something. But I'll figure it out.
We
I,
learned
I
millennial as a term today, which we did
we
not
learned
know.
a new term, right?
Yeah.
A new tag.
We
But
also
Zion,
learned
that just
about
means you're gonna have to come to Michigan.
we also learned
Yes,
about
ma'am.
food insecurity in child food insecurity, which was the beginning of the conversation. So don't let that slip on your minds, guys.
Yes.
Make sure
Babies
that you
are
give
not being
those
fed
babies
nutrition. That's right.
babies don't have money. So make sure that we give those people what they need. That's formula. Make sure we got it. Grab some formula this Sunday, drop it off at your local community center or church.
Yes.
That is
And
Food
awesome.
then
pantries.
so, two things we learned today or went over somewhat. We have a Black Agenda 2030, which is developing. People should be giving comments and suggestions to their neighbors and solidifying what they want those things to be. Black people are not a monolith, but we do have power together. And then also the Democratic Vision 2030. What do we want the larger Democratic coalition to come together and focus on? On those two things are what this conversation was mostly about. So
I thoroughly enjoyed you guys. You have given me new life. I can't even imagine what we will do next week, although I know what we're going to do. Let me tell you guys in listening land, next week we're going to talk about the impacts of your lack of self-control. We're speaking directly to men who end up with children that they don't claim or honor or support, and then find out that the system has rigged that you will never have independence. You will always have back child support. You will always have someone adjusting your in arrears amounts, and then how it changes and pervasively set you up for failure. The men will be leading that discussion for the month of September. God willing and the creek don't rise, we'll all be back next week. Thank you, young folk, for participating and giving us really great content for the month of August. Thank you, Caleb, for facilitating. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you.
bye.
Your
Thank
Good
you.
faith is
night.
champion.
Have a
Good
good
night.
night.
Courageous Incorporated, they need your help. They need
That was great.
volunteers. They need donations. Send your donation to Courageous